All right, welcome everybody around the world. Welcome to all my subscribers. This is a very quick video, one verse, a few minutes. That's all I have time for. Just now I opened up my Bible as I frequently do at random, and God led me straight. This verse was looking straight at me, and it showed me something that I hadn't even thought of before. This is quite astounding proof. This is epic level proof. And it enlightened me as to something mysterious about Jesus that even I was still pondering on. So this verse here is from Mark 14, and I'll read it in Mark 14, 34. This is in the Garden of Gethsemane story, which is repeated in all of the Gospels. I think 3 out of the 4 Gospels. And in this prayer, it's around the time Jesus was going to be put to death, and he was afraid of dying. He was scared to die. And he went off and said this great prayer about handing over this cup to God and so forth. And it's also a penultimate moment that I frequently reference in my teachings that relates to us the end of days, right? But nonetheless, this is the verse here very quickly. So Mark 14:34, and he, Jesus, said to them, to his disciples, exceedingly sorrowful is my soul to death. Remain here and watch. And having gone forward a little, he fell upon the earth and was praying that if it be possible, the hour may pass from him. And he said, Abba, Father, all things are possible to thee. Make this cup pass from me, but not what I will, but what thou. So the important part is, and this is only specified, this little point is only specified in Mark. I checked the other 2 Gospels. It doesn't record this one little specified point, but we have to trust all Scripture, correct? As Christians, it says here in verse 35 that Jesus asked God that this death may not occur to him. He didn't want to die. So he said he was praying that if it be possible, the hour may pass from him. And I looked up in the original Greek, the word for may pass doesn't occur anywhere else in Scripture. There's a Greek word for it, but the definition for it is kind of the face value. Jesus was hoping that this hour would go away, that he wouldn't have to go through this, right? And this is also reinforced for anybody who might have doubts. When Jesus died on the cross, he actually complained to God, very famously saying, my God, why have you forsaken me? One of the great mysteries, why would Jesus say something like that to God? Also, especially if he is God. But nonetheless, what this shows us, shockingly, is that Jesus didn't really want to die. He didn't want to have to go through this death. I mean, who would? This is shocking. I can't believe that even I didn't really latch on to this and catch on to that. But it actually answers a great mystery that I've had myself, even with my teachings, about why Jesus came to do all that he did. And if he wasn't, since he wasn't God, what was the purpose of him having to die? That still remained, past tense, a great mystery until now for me. But we are told in the New Testament, as it says elsewhere from the writings of Paul, that Jesus he took on flesh like we did, and he had to go through all these temptation trials and all sorts of things to prove to everybody and to God that he was worthy of being this Messiah figure. And it even says that he didn't exalt himself to be a priest while on earth. When the people went to go crown him as king, he fled to the mountains. So Jesus was very, very humble in all his approaches like this here. But importantly, what this means is that, and it makes perfect sense to me, that nobody wants to die. And Jesus had probably been told or realized that he was going to go on to death. Part of his trial, therefore, was to see if he would remain faithful to God all the way up until the end, even through a grievous death that he didn't deserve and shouldn't have to go through. But he was faithful. Even though he lamented and complained to God at the very end, we know that he was faithful unto death, through death. He never cursed others. He never cursed God. He passed the ultimate test. Even being forsaken by God, as Jesus himself put it, he still remained faithful. He passed the absolute utmost level of test that anybody could go through. And I think that gives Jesus even more honor. But what this shows us is that quite clearly he wasn't God coming down here to incarnate for the sole purpose, for any purpose, but for the sole purpose, as Trinitarians say and Protestants say, to function as a blood sacrifice so that he could forgive us. If it was God, then God would have known his plan, and God himself, of all people, certainly wouldn't be asking to be relieved of this duty of marching unto death. And God certainly wouldn't say this unto himself. So at the end of the day, this is simple, logical, and epic proof that Jesus didn't want to have to go through death. He didn't want to go through this. And he asked God if it be possible that this hour, the hour of his death, may pass away from him, because that's what the term means. So very, very convincing and interesting food for thought. And I thank God for when I open my Bible, this verse is looking straight at me in the face, eyes right to it. This is clearly a sign from God that he wanted me to realize this today and to share it with everybody. So there you go, folks. God bless you all. I've got to get going. Take care.